out of Ghana from small-scale mining is nearly double the official figures.
And later on, former Health Minister Alex Segbefia appointed Chief of Staff to the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opokwajiman, in the latest list of appointments coming from the presidency. Details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Stay tuned in. Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, MyStar Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch. You're welcome once again to the Starr Midday News on Starr 103.5 FM here in Accra. If you're listening to us across the world, you're on starfm.com.gh. My name is Tettey. Let's settle for the details of our stories now. In a miscommunication in the time for the appearance for the Minister for Defense designate Dr. Omane Boamah before Parliament Appointment Committee has stalled the vetting process for over an hour. The committee retired to confer on the matter for 5 minutes, but they are yet to return. Let's quickly have a listen to the Minority Leader, Alexander Appenyo Marking, speaking about the irregularity in the reporting time.
Chairman, I think it will be fair for us to correct a certain impression we've created about the Honorable Dr. Omane Boamah. The clerk claims that he made a phone call requesting him to be here at 9. Madam, what's the first? Madam Joyce Bawa Muktari has just informed us that indeed the letter communicating today's vetting indicated 11 a.m. The clerk has also confirmed that indeed the letter was 11 a.m. So I don't see why the same clerk should say that the letter was 11 and told the nominee to get here at 9. That would be unfair. It is not correct that he's late. I think, to be fair to him, the inconsistency is coming from our secretariat. So he's not late. I'm sure he's waiting to come at 11. That notwithstanding, I think Honorable Ajekum is here, so we'll take him.
So that is the Minority Leader and the ranking member on the Appointments Committee, Alexander Appenyo Marking, speaking about the earlier miscommunication with regard to the time that Dr. Omane Boamah was expected to be there. So if you are privy to the vetting list that made the rounds, on the list, the first on the list is Dr. Omane Boamah, and the time there states 9 a.m. But per the communication from Parliament that went to him, what we understand is that it stated 11 a.m. And so that is what has caused the discrepancy. At the time the committee was ready, Dr. Omane Boamah was not there at the time because he was going by the 11 a.m. Time he had been giving. I'm sure he thought that, even if he shows up at 10, it will be within the time frame. It's still the Starr Midday News on Starr 103.5 FM. We're working the telephone lines to speak to our parliamentary affairs correspondent, Ibrahim Al-Hassan, to give us some details with regard to what else is happening on the ground. Well, while the delay is on, we can hear from Dominic Nituo, and he is the former defense minister. Ibrahim was speaking to him about today's development.
Written about today because before not, you'll be a bit agitated because you don't really know what type of questions to ask, what to expect. If, you've done all the preparations, you've watched videos of your person, your predecessor. You've also gone through some mock vetting sessions to check. You've met all the staff. You've met the ministry staff that you are going to. But just like any interview, you will be a bit apprehensive. But the most important is to have composure and know your subject matter and be prepared to be able to go through, because you are going to be fired by no less than 100 questions from different groups of people in different areas around that particular thing. To test one, your knowledge, your suitability, your ability to be able to deliver, and your ability to represent Ghana effectively on both domestic and international. And then for you to be able to do your work, the most important is for you to be able to do your work. Remember, you are there on behalf of the president executing a particular mandate. So they want to check whether you have the ability to be able to do that. And so a lot will go through your mind about whether you will stand the test of time. One mistake and your whole career can come crashing. But normally the MPs are doing a good job. They try to get the best out of the person, and then they make a decision after that. The decision is not made immediately. They go into a conclave and they make a decision as to whether that person is fit enough to be recommended either by consensus. Consensus means that all the two groups, all the two sides, that's the minority and majority, both agree that yes, this person is fully qualified, so we should recommend him to the House. Yes, it will be out there that maybe Ghana has this number of soldiers. It may not be correct, and nobody will validate it or deny it or confirm it. So these things are there that happen. But like I said, it's a very sensitive position, and the nominee himself must carry himself in a certain manner and in a certain way to be able to get the confidence of. And if they don't carry weapons, and tomorrow somebody attacks them and they die, who's held responsible? These are simple questions that you need to do. Would they be formed in the form of a company? Would they be able to seize excavators? How would they seize excavators? Would they use weapons to be able to do that? If you cannot answer these simple questions, it is not as easy as somebody will just imagine that this is what I would do. The basic questions that I'm just asking. Because, yes, the Interior Minister is supposed to license the usage of guns. What type of guns would they use? Would they use assault rifles? Would they use normal pump action guns? What sort of bullet would they use? Would they use the AA or the BB? Would they use the military-grade weapons? If they don't use weapons, you can go and ask Forestry Department why they started asking for weapons.
So that is the former occupant of that office in question, for which Dr. Omane Boama is set to be vetted for. Well, in case you're just tuning in, you're still listening to the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM, and we have been talking about the long delay in the vetting process today. Ideally, it starts at 9 a.m. The earlier communication stated that it will start at 9 a.m. as usual, and the first person on the bill was going to be Dr. Omane Boama, who is the Minister Designate for Defense. Unfortunately, the letter communicated to him that he was to have his session at 11, so that's caused some discrepancy. The committee retired to confer with regard to the next line of action. They said they were going to be away for 5 minutes, but it's been on over an hour, close to 2 hours now since they retired briefly to go and look at the issues at hand. We did hear from Dominic Nitiwole a while ago, who was the former occupant of that office, speaking to a myriad of issues. Our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Ibrahim Alassane was the one who engaged him, and in that engagement he also talked about how the vetting was expected to go, how this, because of the security nature of it, not everything can be put out there in the public domain with regard to what Ghana's security or military strength or vessels, among others. Those are sensitive matters and will not be expected to be put out there. We'll still work in the telephone lines. We'll reach out to our parliamentary affairs correspondent for more on this with regard to what is the latest happening on the ground as we speak. But now let's focus on other issues relating to the governing matters. We will be checking with regard to the latest appointments coming in from the presidency. I've been joined in the studio by Eko Boakye. He has details with regard to the latest appointments coming from the office of the vice president, which were approved by the office of the president. Eko, what exactly is on the latest release?
Well, now leading the team for the vice president is no stranger, but former Minister of Health Alex Percival Segwefia, who is the chief of staff to the vice president, and the head of administration is Mrs. Alberta Graham, with presidential staffer and special aide to the vice president being Professor Teresa Inin. Policy advisors, the vice president's office has picked about 5 policy advisors, with Dr. Hamza Zakaria being the advisor on economics, and also Professor Sharif Mahmoud Khalid, also on economics. And another person who is no stranger to us is Dr. Samuel Ofosu Ampo, former chairman of the National Democratic Congress, as policy advisor on political matters. The secretary to the vice president is going to be Daniela Mavis Matthias, and also we have another policy advisor that's on finance, Mansa Amwa Ewa. And interesting to note is Mamiama Pratt as press secretary. She would have been a vice president's wife if Alan Chamantin was successful, but she gets to work for the vice president.
Well, I guess she's making her father, Kwesi Pratt, equally proud.
Yes, she is.
All right. Thank you very much, Eko Boakye, with those details there with regard to the latest appointments lists that has come up. This is to the office of the vice president. 6 women in all and 4 men in general. Well, thankfully, the vetting committee is back. And so we are crossing over live to Parliament to bring you the vetting of the Minister for Defense designate, Dr. Omani Boama. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
To invite Oliver Baker Vomao to appear before the committee tomorrow at 10 before noon to provide evidence of Benarahia for the chairman of the vetting committee or any member of the vetting committee to back his claim that we demand money from the nominees before vetting and approval. Clerk of the committee, I so direct. When he failed, then we can invoke the powers of the committee under Article 103 and our own standing order